Yard line, pick up a 5 on the play.
Pretty nifty move there for the freshman, and I'm going to be curious with this run game from Milan. Will they just continue to alternate through their weapons in the backfield? We talked a lot about Wyatt Marsh during the half, but, Beckett Langford's been back there, and Brady Alcorn had some really good runs in the first half too.
Pickup of 7 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 3 for the Indians at their own 22-yard line. Twins split to the far side of the formation.
Norman lined up to the far side for the Indians.
And send a man in motion, and Drawling is going to snap it back to Marsh. Marsh calls his own number and takes it to the outside, runs it left, and he gets it to the 25-yard line, and that's going to be it, but enough for the first down for the Milan Indians.
Well, Batesville defensively, of course, is going to keep eyeballs on Mike and Norman over there on the far side, and what happens when they do is the fact that things open up a little bit more. Plus, Wyatt gets a heck of a lead block to open up that final space those last couple of yards.
So 1st and 10 Indians at the 26-yard line, and a little, shall we say, window dressing over there with Mr. Norman. And he is split to the far side. Single wide to the near side. Operating out of the shotgun is Marsh. Claps his hands, fakes the handoff, and calls his own number. And going to go to the left side of the formation behind the left guard. And actually going to give it off to Beckett Langferman on that RPO. And Langferman got back to the line of scrimmage. That's it. So no gain on the play. Well defended by Batesville.
Yeah, Batesville did a good job of just plugging up the middle. They dropped a couple guys back and allowed for that middle linebacker group to come in, and you really had no space even beyond that because Big Cam Kaiser's back there to plug things up off the D-line.
Alcorn lined up in the slot to the near side, sent a man in motion, and the play going to be whistled and blown dead. And one of the Bulldog defenders pointing toward Milan. And it's got to be a false start. Will be whistled against the Indians.
And that's just a nitpicky 5-yard penalty that you just really don't want to have in this situation. Milan going to change things up. Going to see Noah Morgan back in for the Indians.
So that'll be a 2nd and 15 Milan back at their own 21-yard line. 9:58 and counting here in the third quarter. Batesville leads Milan 14-7. Alcorn split to the near side. Norman to the far side. Operating out of the shotgun is Marsh. Claps his hands, hands it off to Langferman. Beckett Langferman gets back to the line of scrimmage and is going to be shoved backward, but not before his forward progress. Actually carried him forward for like a gain and a half, a yard and a half on that play.
Yeah, up the gut right now is just not going to be happening on this drive for Milan, as Batesville is just really flexing their muscle in that regards in that area. They've had much better success trying to sweep things out to the outside. And this is the 3rd down. Do you try and see Marsh throw on a 3rd and 14?
And ball back at the 22-yard line. Operating out of the shotgun is Marsh. Looking and going off the left side and is caught by Grant Langferman. And Langferman immediately dropped at the 30-yard line, well short of the first down marker. And it's going to take it out to the 31-yard line in Milan territory, so a 4th and 5.
I just don't think if you're Milan right now, you can afford to go for it. They may try and at least get Batesville off sides here. Marsh is capable of pooching a punt. Right now appears they're going to go for it, though, and Batesville's got no one back to defend a punt, now whistle, and a timeout for Milan.
So that'll be the Indians first. It comes with 8:29 to go in the third. Your score, Batesville 14, Milan 7. Back in 30 seconds on 103.9 FM, the WRBI app, and WRBI-TV.
Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep is a proud sponsor of local athletics. I'm Michelle Galk, and at Batesville Chrysler, we value this community and the relationships we've built with our customers. As your hometown car dealer, we understand the importance of staying connected to the community. We commend all our student athletes and their hard work and dedication. That's why we're proud to sponsor local sports coverage so that fans can stay connected no matter where we are. Remember, you can buy a car anywhere, but when you buy at Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep, we can all work together to support the future of this great community.
Your free source for local sports, WRBI.
After the timeout, Milan going for it on 4th and 5 at their own 31-yard line. Now all kinds of shifting around.
And they got Batesville to
They
jump.
did. They sure did. And I think that's what the Indians probably had in mind, to try and get Batesville to jump to commit a neutral zone infraction and pick up that fresh set of downs, the gift 5 yards for the first down.
Well, now the official's going to conference about this one very quickly. So maybe it's not as obvious. Maybe it gets picked up. If it's not and goes against the Bulldogs, what a play call from the timeout for Coach Langferman.
Yeah, still no indication yet. And it's going to be offside.
Yep.
It will be whistled against Batesville. So that's going to give the Indians the first down.
That's not going to make Evan Ulrey very happy.
No. Nope. So they'll take it out to the 36-yard line.
Now, what I will say, though, it's a great play call of a timeout, but, man, burning a timeout so early in the second half for Milan, a little iffy.
Yeah, you and I were discussing that during the break, kind of scratching our head at that. But be that as it may, 1st and 10 Indians at the 36-yard line. Marsh hands it off and getting across the to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it. Maybe picked up one on the play. Looks like that is, I believe that was Beckford Langferman on the carry.
Preston Blessing was in on the tackle for Batesville.
So a pickup of one on the play. 2nd and 9, Milan at their own 37-yard line. 7:46 and counting in the third. Indians trail it 14-7. Micah Norman split up top. One split to the near side. Operating out of the shotgun. Clapping his hands is Wyatt Marsh. Marsh dumps it off to Langferman, and Garrett Langferman immediately dropped as soon as he caught it right on the 40-yard line at the numbers.
And just so happened to be met there by Dylan Cummer, number 21.
So a pickup of 3 on that pitch and catch makes it a 3rd and 6 Milan at their own 39.
Got a hold here. If you are a Batesville fan, you cannot allow 2 of these to slip away from you on the drive.
So Indians break the huddle. Single wides on either side of the formation. Line up a man in slots. Now send a man in motion to the near side. Rolling out to his left is Marsh. Looking upfield. Has some protection. Now going to reverse field. Cuts it to the inside. Now goes left side. Bounces it just inside the numbers. Now bounces it outside of the 40 to the 35 to the 30. And down inside the 30. All the way to the Batesville 28-yard line out of bounds. Big pickup there. Once again, seeing the brilliance of Wyatt Marsh on the ground.
Now, that's taking lemons and making lemonade right there, because, yeah, you give all the credit in the world to Wyatt Marsh for navigating the way he did, but it's equally important, the offensive line, to leave all that space just for him to see and then maneuver.
And the fact that they did not commit a penalty, did not commit a hold on that, the fact that they had presence of mind not to do that when it's so easy to do it on a play like that where he reverses field. So a 1st and 10 for the Indians at the Batesville 27-yard line. Send a man in motion, and rolling out to his left is Marsh. Marsh looks upfield, fires off his back foot, and into the end zone, and knocked away at the last second. And well defended there by Trenton Jordan for the Batesville Bulldogs.
Grant Langferman, the intended receiver.
Yeah, Langferman had it dead to rights, and there is a marker on the field. And the officials discussing that, but yeah, well defended there by Jordan. And Langferman had it momentarily between the 2 L's and the Batesville type in the end zone off to our right, and then knocked away at the last second by Trenton Jordan. But it's all academic because it'll be a hold whistled against the Milan Indians. So that's going to take the ball back to the 37-yard line. So we'll repeat first down.
Not necessarily cleaning things up penalty-wise so far, are we?
No, we're not.
We're fine.
Yeah.
It's them.
Yeah. The gentleman on the field.
The ones that matter most.
That's right.
No one cares about us.
Hand it off to Alcorn. He sweeps it out to the right side of the formation, gets it down to the 31-yard line.
Been a hot minute since they've called Alcorn's name, so it's probably time to do that, and he's able to get you some good yards back.
Yeah, we saw a steady diet of Brady Alcorn in that first quarter in particular, then started going to the other backs and coming out here featuring Beckett Langferman, and now Alcorn gets it down to the 31-yard line of Batesville.
I think at one point, about 4 straight runs?
Yes.
On one series for Milan with Alcorn running the football?
Yes, you are correct, sir. 2nd and 13 Indians. Under center is Marsh. Fakes a handoff, now gives it up. Gonna run it back across the left side on some misdirection. Cuts it to outside the numbers, and finally going to be dropped is the ball carrier. That's Camden Miller, a 5'10", 185-pound sophomore. A little misdirection there, some trickery there by Wyatt Marsh and company.
Now, I thought he was dead to rights, though, because Batesville's defense was there to meet him, and they were not able to make the tackle. Got to be able to bring the ball carrier down. You can't just try and grab around a little bit. Indians marching, but now guess what? Another flag and another hold against Milan. I did not see that flag thrown. It comes in late, and Ryan Langford just continues to pace that sideline every time the yellow comes out. And it's not the Vegas gold that the Indians want to see.
No. And the bright yellow handkerchief, as it were. So that's going to take the ball back to the 34-yard line of the Batesville Bulldogs. They'll set up a 2nd and 17 for the Indians. Inside 5.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Batesville holding on to the 14-7 lead.
And outside of about maybe 5 or 6, that was almost a wholesale substitution on the sideline for Milan.
And fake the handoff, and the ball was loose momentarily, and finally coming up with it is Wyatt Marsh. Fell on his own fumble, and might have been a little too much confusion back there as they faked the handoff running that RPO, and did not get a handle on it. That's the danger of that particular play, the RPO. So it'll be a loss of 3 on the play. 3rd and 20 Indians as they're stuck in reverse on this drive back to the 37-yard line of the Batesville Bulldogs. Twins to the upside of the formation, one to the near side. Wyatt operating out of the shotgun. Marsh back to throw, looking, firing under some pressure. Scoots away from the left side and got to call his own number. And he's going to get close to the necessary yardage for the first down and forced out of bounds across the way. And I think he made it to the sticks. And I don't see any laundry on the field, so it looks like the Milan Indians were clean on the blocks. They're going to say he was out just shy of the first down marker.
That should be an easy push, though, to open up Marsh. He's looking over to the sideline. They will go for it. Man, you would think a couple penalties like that would just be deadly to Milan's offense, but they have found a way. Yeah, it's a huge wow factor. It's the biggest one, but wow, the fact that Batesville's defense all of a sudden starting to slip up heavily here in the third quarter.
4th and 1, handed off, and is going to be Beckett Langford, the ball carrier on that one, and got the necessary yardage for the first down. And very, very quickly, the Indians went up to the line of scrimmage, handed it off, and going to move the sticks. As you hear the Milan fans in front of us erupting in cheers. So the Indians knocking out the door with 4:18 and counting here in the third period. They trail it 14-7. However, they have a 1st and 10 in the red zone. They're at the 16-yard line of the Batesville Bulldogs. Marsh gets the play from the near sideline. And the Indians are going to walk it up slowly, and we have a stoppage in play.
And we have yet to see Batesville with the football in the third.
No. Yeah, I mean, we're all the way down to 3:59. This is why you defer the second half if you win that toss. See what you can do, and that's exactly what the Indians are doing. Marsh operating out of the shotgun, claps his hands, feeds it to the right side, and trying to sky for it. The intended receiver not able to come down with it is number 33, Colton Harris. Was well defended, however, that one just beyond the grasp of Harris on the E in the Batesville type in the end zone.
Another battle downfield. You had Trenton Jordan around. You had Andrew Reed around, the junior. But even, I think, if they'd have been able to be a hand on the football, there's no way he's in bounds.
2nd and 10, Indians at the Batesville 16-yard line. Clock stopped with 3:42 to go in the third. Snap back and handed off. And running up the middle is straight up the gut and into the end zone. Touchdown, Milan. Beckett Langfordman with the score from 16 yards out. And we're an extra point away or a 2-point conversion away from Milan either tying or taking the lead, depending on what they decide to do here. But nevertheless, the Indians make it a tighter one, and they wind the clock all the way down to 3:37. They did not give up the ball up until this point. They had it the entire third quarter. But Beckett Langfordman with the touchdown run and makes it a 14-13 ball game. Voss on for the extra point attempt. It is up, and it is good. And we are tied at 14 apiece. Milan 14, Batesville 14. Back in 30 seconds on 103.9 FM, the WRBI app, and WRBI-TV.
At Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, we're good at insurance. But not just any insurance. We're good at
when the forecast calls for cheese ball-sized hail insurance.
And even shouldn't have parked under that tree insurance. Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and stop knocking on wood.
See your local Indiana Farm Bureau insurance agent, Doug Sherwood, in Greensburg. Call 812-663-3595.
The most and best high school sports is on WRBI.
Tonight's game brought to you in part by Ivy Tech Community College, Gehring's, Vaguely Napa Auto, and Ison's Family Pizza. Also brought to you in part by Batesville Chrysler Dodge, Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Doug Sherwood, also Decatur County Memorial Hospital, and Bruns Gutzweiler. Beckett Langfordman, an 18-yard run, capping off a drive that took the clock all the way down into the 3:37 mark in the third quarter after the opening kick in the second half. Nick Voss added the extra point, and the Milan Indians have scored 14 unanswered points after being down by 14. And we're tied at 14 apiece with 3:37 to go in the third.
Great drive by Milan. Just a lot of headlines, though, in that near 9 minutes taken off the clock. And that touchdown brought to you by Assured Partners Insurance in Batesville. See Mark Taylor.
And the ball bobbled in the back and finally picked up across the 20-25 and reverses field and kicks it out to the 31-yard line is the return man for the Batesville Bulldogs. That is Ajon Herbert, a sophomore. And Herbert bobbled it inside the 15 and reversed field, and he ran straight and then reversed it, cut it across the grain off to his right and got it inside the 30. Going to mark the ball, the nose of it at the 31-yard line. So a 1st and 10 Batesville. And again, all kinds of momentum on the side of the Milan Indians to this point. Let's see how the Batesville offense responds.
Yeah, blow to the gut to the Batesville defense because of that huge extended drive by Milan. How does the offense respond?
Pitch it back to Small, goes up the middle, and Small going to get maybe one, maybe two, but very tough sledding up the middle. Well defended there by the Milan Indians. Zane Richardson, among others, in on the tackle for the Indians. Also Colby Bushhorn.
No, you're only two ball carriers tonight, and this is going to have to be something that if Batesville wants to gain steam at all this season in the grand scheme of things, you're going to have to find someone besides Shane and besides Small to run this football as we've got a timeout on the field.
Yeah, they're having some issues with the scoreboard and also the play clock. It keeps flashing on and off, both the scoreboard and the play clock. And they had to reset the play clock, and they got it all set. Now the officials looking at the press box, making sure that still having the discrepancy here. So while we're dealing with that, we're going to go ahead and tell you that tonight's game is also brought to you in part by Fleetwood Chevrolet, Margaret Mary Health, Great Plains Communications, and Moore Law Office. All right, we got everything straightened out, and once again the scoreboard and play clock flash off and flash back on.
Speaking of scores, by the way, a couple of pass along as we continue to have some referee discussion. Third quarter score in southeastern Indiana tonight. Shelbyville leads Rushville 31-12. Second quarter, Shenandoah on top of South Decatur 19-0. And also halftime score, Franklin County 35, Connorsville 14. And Madison and South Dearborn at the half are knotted up at 0.
Wow.
I stand corrected. 6-0 now in the third quarter. The halftime score, Annie, was 0-0.
Yep.
It has since extended, and now it's 6-0. And that's why she's here, to keep us on our toes.
That's right. Keep us straight. Hand it off to Shane, to a small, cuts misdirection and pinballs around. Finally cuts it, gets it to the outside and tried to run it to the outside and ran it straight up the middle finally along the hash mark, but he gets the necessary yardage for the first down. A very strong run there by Zayden Small and takes it out to the Batesville 44-yard line.
Yeah, I don't really know, to be quite honest with you, if that was supposed to be a misdirection at all. I think it was a matter of Small runs it up the middle, gets bumped by the defender, and then goes sailing out towards the far side. But you'll take it. It's a first down. You move the chains for the Pups.
Yeah, I think he kind of went into business for himself on that run. Yep. Shane under center, back split behind him. Throws back to throw, rolls to the left side. Now slant to Jordan. Jordan catches it to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Batesville.
That was a beautiful play in the playbook, because what Batesville did, they stacked Jordan up here on this near side with Jackson Elston, the sophomore. They go ahead and send Elston out deep. You've got Jordan, who slants right through. He's got all kinds of daylight, and a beautiful pass thrown by Dylan Shane. So, man, big chunk there, 56-yard TD pass, and the Bulldogs are back up 20-14. And will they go for 2? Nope. Wanell is out for the extra point.
So Brady Wanell lines up. Batesville eschews the 2-point conversion try. The kick is up, and it is no good. So a rare miss by Brady Wanell. Your score remains Batesville 20, Milan 14. And this scoring drive brought to you by Assured Partners Insurance in Batesville. See David Ball. So the Bulldogs retake the lead after they jumped out to a 14-0 advantage. And then Milan scoring 14 unanswered points. And the kick failed, but nevertheless, is Dylan Shane with a 56-yard touchdown pass to Trenton Jordan. And Batesville retakes the lead at 20-14.
Yeah, that's certainly one that if Batesville is able to pull this one out tonight, that'll be one to ask Evan Ulrey about. Not just that play to get you that touchdown, but also the resiliency of his football team, because the defense just allowed more and more opportunities for Milan as part of that 8.5-minute drive. Milan comes to tie it, and then the offense right back out to respond. The offense from last week would not have been able to do that.
No, I mean, you've definitely seen some growth from week 1 to week 2. And even the second half of last week, we saw that growth starting to process. It may not have resulted in what they were looking for, what they accomplished, but you could tell that there was some growth coming up. So with that, Brady Wanell getting ready to boot it away.
And as we said, you don't see Brady Wanell miss too many extra points.
So Wanell advances on it. High line drive. It is fielded and off the arms of the intended of the return man, and he's just going to have to back it. It's going to be a touchback as it rolls into the end zone. And that was Beckett Langferman. Just had it bounce off his right arm and into the end zone, and there was a touchback at that point. So the Indians now trailing 20-14, 2:17 to go in this third quarter. Again, they held the ball for almost 9 minutes to begin this third quarter. And then Batesville, just like that, quick as a hiccup, comes up with the touchdown pass, Shane to Jordan, to go back up on top. And the Indians with it at the 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. Ray Alcorn split to the near side. Micah Norman to the far side. Operating out of the shotgun is Wyatt. And Wyatt Marsh going to take the handoff and call his own number. And he's going to get it back to the 20-yard line, back to the original line of scrimmage. That's it.
But really, I mean, early on in the last drive, that's what Batesville's defense did. they plug things up, and then just like that, where it's a long third down or a fourth down, it was either those penalties against Batesville or Milan's able to extend with a very long run, whether that be from Marsh, Alcorn, or Langferman.
Pickup of 1 on the play. 2nd and 9 Indians at their own 21-yard line. And hand it off to Langferman as Beckett Langferman. And he's going to kick it to the 24-yard line before he is stonewalled by several blue-shirted Batesville defenders.
It's a shame that the tackler's last name wasn't Jackson. Could have been stonewalled by Jackson.
So it'll be a 3rd down for the Indians, 1:35 to go.
Follow me for more Civil War humor.
Yeah. Of course, the classic country artist, Stonewall Jackson.
Yes.
The old-timers will remember that. Third and 6 Indians. Marsh hands it off, inside handoff, and going up the middle and shy of the necessary yardage for the first down.
Possibly a situation here, by the way, Aiden Grivey in on the tackle for Batesville. Does Milan try and pull off what they did the last drive and try and draw Batesville off sides? Either way, you've got to be really disciplined here on this defensive line if you're the Bulldogs. No indication yet that Milan's going to punt.
Brady Alcorn, the ball carrier on the previous play, as the time winds down here, 48 seconds and counting. 4th and 1 Indians at their own 29. And rugby scrum forward, and the Indians say they got the first down, and they did, as Marsh with the keeper. Good surge up front by the Milan offensive line.
Can you say risky business, though, for the Indians?
Yeah.
Because if you do not convert on that 4th down, you are putting Batesville within 5 yards of the red zone on their end.
Yeah, they had the ball at the 30, and Marsh able to pick up 2 on the play. He needed 1. As time starts to wind down here in the 3rd quarter, we'll see if Milan is able to get this next play off. They have 8 seconds on the play clock. Marsh under center. And it's got a handoff on the misdirection. And finally, the ball carrier on that one was number 22 for the Indians. That's Cam Miller.
That's going to take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. And do not go anywhere, because this is yet another bell game that's going to come down to the wire, and Milan's going to be threatening going into the final 12 minutes.
And your score after 3, the Batesville Bulldogs 20, the Milan Indians 14. Back after the 60-second timeout with 4th quarter action on 103.9 FM, the WRBI app, and WRBI-TV.
When looking for the highest standard of HVAC service and care, turn to Hurt & Elko, your local Lennox Premier dealer. Hurt & Elko and their Premier dealer status means you're certain to be working with a company who has the highest level of training, professionalism, and customer satisfaction. For a limited time, they're offering up to $1,900 in rebates on a brand new Lennox system or finance with low monthly payments. Call Hurt & Elko today at 812-934-4646 or visit them online at hurt-elko.com to learn more. Conditions apply. See dealer for details.
When life takes unexpected turns, Moore Law is there to help. Moore Law can help with estate planning, elder law, nursing home planning, criminal defense, family law issues, and civil litigation. They stand behind their clients every step of the way. From protecting loved ones and securing your future to defending your rights, Moore Law's attorneys bring a wealth of knowledge and dedication to every case. Call 812-932-1227. Moore Law, attorneys you can trust.
Southeastern Indiana's sports voice, WRBI.
Just underway in the 4th quarter, and Wyatt Marsh rolling out to throw and found Micah Norman all alone in the middle of the field around the 30-yard line, but it was short-hopped, and Norman not able to come up with it, so an incomplete pass. They'll stop the clock with 11:52 to go in the 4th. They'll set up a 3rd and 3 for the Indians at their own 39-yard line. Tonight's game brought to you in part by Whitewater Motors, Hurt & Elko, the Ripley County Community Foundation, and Batesville Dental, alongside Rob Moorhead. Or excuse me, Rob LaFerry. I knew I was going to do that before the season was over. I got it. At least I got it out of my system early on. Well, along with Rob LaFerry, Tom Snape, and the Indians run it forward, and they are going to run it for the first down. And that ball carrier for Milan was Josh Pettit, a 5'11", 200-pound senior. So a new look there on offense for the Indians as Pettit runs up the gut and takes it down to the 46-yard line, still in Milan territory.
Luckily, I like Rob, and I'm not offended.
There you go. What's not to like about him?
That's true.
Mr. Smoothie. 1st and 10 Indians at their own 46. Marsh under center will hand it off. Cam Miller bounces it to the outside and gets it to midfield before he's escorted out of bounds by several Batesville defenders, including Ethan Schneider. Also, Bryson Hageman in on the action as well.
You got to think, especially with the way the third quarter happened, almost 8.5 minutes on that touchdown drive in the third quarter by the Indians. This defense has got to be awfully tired here in the second half, and they're starting to look it.
Yeah, and especially with the beef up front from the Milan's offensive line, the way they just wear on you and just lean on you and things of that nature just start to wear you down. Micah Norman split to the far side. The Indians going from right to left as we're looking at things here toward downtown Batesville, and handed off on the misdirection once again, and that's Alcorn, the ball carrier. He runs it up the gut, and he looks like he's got the necessary yards for the first down, and he does. So Milan starting to impose their will up front and in the run game as Brady Alcorn picks up the first down for the Indians down to the Batesville 43-yard line.
Yeah, I could see this being a situation where if Milan can do it again, obviously you want to look for the end zone if you can, but if you can take a bunch of time off once again, extra point would give you a lead, make it a 21-20 game. Favors the Indians awfully well.
Inside handoff and rumbling inside the 40-yard line down to the 39. And that Milan ball carrier is Pettit once again. So a 4-yard gain for Pettit on that one. Takes it down to the Batesville 39-yard line. And the Indians in no particular hurry, just going to be rather deliberate in running their offense here and grinding it out and melting that clock as we approach the 10-minute mark here. 2nd and 6. Handed off, running to the left side is Alcorn. Alcorn just inside the hash mark and gets it down another first down for the Milan Indians. So Brady Alcorn has accounted for 2 first downs on this drive along with Josh Pettit. And he takes it down to the Batesville 28-yard line. And as you mentioned, Rob, starting to see that Milan offensive line just wear down the Batesville defense, especially unit that has spent a lot of time on the field tonight.
Yeah, and they keep throwing in different guys to run the football. Now Josh Pettit's been in the mix as well. By the way, coming up on the 9 o'clock hour, do want to say that you are listening to Country 103.9 WRBI, Batesville, Milan, Osgood, and Versailles.
Back to throw is Marsh. Marsh looks left side, caught on the near sideline, and that is by Micah Norman. Norman right in front of the Batesville defender, and that was Ethan Schneider. A nice pitch and catch there from Marsh to Norman.
Yeah, it was Norman who took Schneider up the sideline and then cut back. And, this is, again, where you're starting to see fatigue come in because Schneider was just very slow to get back over to Norman, and typically Schneider a pretty quick kick in the secondary.
So a 2nd and 1 Milan at the Batesville 19-yard line. Under center is Marsh. Inside handoff. And rumbling down inside the 15, down to the 13-yard line. And that's Brady Alcorn, the ball carrier. So, yeah, as you mentioned, Rob, starting to see Pettit. And, again, that's the thing, running those fresh legs in and out of there and getting a good rotation.
Defense just has no answer here in the second half for Batesville. And, I'm starting to see some hands on hips, some guys bent over a little bit trying to catch their breath. The Indians have just done a phenomenal job of making this defense tired and making them stay out on the field.
3rd and 10 Indians at the Batesville 14. Handed off to Alcorn. Alcorn runs it to the left side, bounces it inside the numbers, and finally got to be wrestled down around the 10-yard line.
Going to be number 7, Trenton Jordan, who just put the helmet down and busted Alcorn right in the gut.
and they're going to place it at the 9. So the Milan Indians with a 2nd and 5 at the 9. So they can still pick up a first down without scoring a touchdown. Norman split way to the top side. Marsh hands it off to Pettit. Pettit runs up the gut and down to the 5-yard line.
Yep, got put right there at the 5. Just keep running the football if you're the Tribe.
And we have a Batesville defender down. It looks like he's got a cramp as one of his teammates is starting to stretch his leg out.
I will say this, Sam, because we are already marching towards the midway mark of the 4th quarter. Now that we've had 1 week of everyone used to this weather, cramps have not been frequent like they were in week 1.
No, I mean, it seemed like about this time last week we had
about,
several
10,
times
11
out.
of them?
Yeah, a lot. We were definitely in double figures. Tonight's game brought to you in part by Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep, Farm Bureau Insurance, Doug Sherwood agent, also Decatur County Memorial Hospital and Bruns Gutzweiler. Tonight's game also brought to you in part by Ivy Tech Community College, Garings, Vagley Napa Auto, and Ison's Family Pizza.
Not that Annie needs any more jobs, but I guess we could get her to start keeping track of injuries.
There you go.
Just start tallying.
Yeah. 3rd and 1 Indians at the Batesville 5-yard line.
Nice pitch.
Pitch it out way up, and nobody's going to get to him. That's Brady Alcorn. He was all alone off the right side of that formation, and he takes it into the end zone for 6 more for the Indians. And we're tied at 20 with 7:32 to go in regulation.
Yeah, this has just been a dominant display of offense, especially with this run game for Milan in the second half. And, you know, we have talked a lot about Wyatt Marsh. He is such a big part of this offense. But Milan has shown that they are way more than just him. We've got a timeout on the field taken by Milan, and they will be discussing whether to try and take a lead, go up 21-20, or push it out, go for the 2-point conversion.
And that will be the Indians' second timeout, 7:32 to go in the 4th. Your score, Batesville 20, Milan 20, and we'll see what Milan does here, whether they go for the extra point or the 2-point conversion here, and we'll keep things right here. And Rob, what have you got as far as score updates?
Well, taking a look at scores, the Border War on 74 is at halftime, and East Central and Harrison are tied at 14. So it's a close one between the Cats and the Trojans. 3rd quarter, Franklin County leads Connorsville 42-21. 10:30 left in the 4th quarter. Greenfield Central leads Greensburg 27-14. North Decatur starting to run away from Eastern Hancock 35-15 in quarter number 4. Rushville trails Shelbyville 31-20 in the 4th. South Dearborn now all of a sudden leads Madison in the 4th quarter 28-0.
All right, so that's you're up to date on scores around the area.
Blocked!
And the extra point attempt is blocked by Batesville. Voss with the extra point attempt, and it was blocked. And we're going to remain at 20 apiece.
Wow.
How about that?
I mean, you need something. Batesville's got to find anything they possibly can to hang on because there is no momentum. But, boy, that might have just lit enough of a fire for this team to take a deep breath and say, okay, you know, we can make this happen. The roar tremendous from the adult crowd across the way and the student section because Milan kicking into that Batesville student section. But a big paw comes up. The kick goes off site, and we're knotted up. Wow, this could be an ending, a crazy ending at that. With 7:32 to go.
Well, it is the bell game. Would you expect anything less?
No.
So Voss' extra point try was blocked by one of the Batesville special teamers. And we remain tied at 20 apiece. 7:32 to go in regulation. And we're telling you about the scoreboard issue, and Batesville Athletic Director Brian Helvey came up, looked like he brought in a replacement unit, so it looks like they got that squared away along with the scoreboard and the game clock, or the play clock, off to our left. So Voss will kick it off, and it's going to be interesting to see what Batesville, if they can put together a sustained drive themselves, give that defensive unit a rest. Now, of course, you have several guys who do go 2 ways, but you know, it will be interesting to see if Batesville can put together a sustained drive and eat up some clock and do what they need to do to push it in. And the ball rolls down and picked up at the 15, the 20, 25 to the 30. And the return man for the Batesville Bulldogs, and that is Jeff Gerstbauer.
Well, the thing is with Batesville, offensively tonight has been all about the quick strike. There really hasn't been anything what we would call sustained.
No.
I thought maybe the opening drive of the first quarter is probably as long as we have seen for a series tonight for Batesville. And so, again, it's kind of like Milan. If you've got the opportunity, go for it. But you're in a spot where if you can take time off, this would bode well for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it has been a lightning strike, and yeah, we did. That was really the only sustained drive that we saw any semblance of in this season so far for Batesville under 2 games. Handed off to Small. Small runs to the left side across the 35, and finally going to be wrestled down at the 41-yard line. And a first down for the Batesville Bulldogs.
Well, it's lucky for Milan that Luke Hendren, number 5, just was able to grab a back of Zayden Small's jersey and just pull him down, because that might have been a run that at least gets Zayden across the 50.
Yeah, you saw all kinds of blue fabric stretching out there, and well done by Hendren. So a first and 10 Batesville at their own 41-yard line. 7 minutes to go in regulation, tied at 20. Out of the shotgun is Dylan Shane. He has Small on his left hip, hands it off to Small, runs it right side, and he was
maybe
immediately
a
yard. That was about it for he was shoved back, but his forward progress will take him to the line of scrimmage, so no gain on the play. And Lucas Hensley in on the tackle for the Milan Indians. Hensley is a 5'11", 240-pound junior.
Looked like maybe J.J. Mutz was around as well for the Indians. We are 30 seconds away from the midway mark of the fourth quarter.
Twins to the upside, one to the near side. Bulldogs going from left to right as we're looking at things here. Fake the handoff, rolling out to his right is Shane. Plants, fires, throws it up, and off by the far sideline by Trenton Jordan. And they say he caught it inbounds inside the Milan 30 down to the 28-yard line. What a pitch and catch by Shane to Trenton Jordan, and he caught it, reeled it in right before he stepped out of bounds, and a huge strike there once again for Batesville.
And that's the second big catch downfield tonight for Trenton Jordan. The first one, of course, being a touchdown tonight. But, wow, I mean, just for him to be able to tiptoe the way he did to stay in bounds, Dogs are now 8 yards away from the red zone.
Great concentration by Jordan. Pitch it to Small. He kicks it to the left side. Tries to bounce it to the outside. He'll get a couple of yards. He'll take it down to the 25-yard line. So we'll pick up 2, but looks like a flag on the play.
Face mask, and it's going to go against Milan.
Very interesting.
So now both teams have had penalties that have shot themselves big time in the foot in the second half. Milan had done a much better job of making them go away as the second half has went along, but, man, that hurts if you're the Indians. If you're Batesville, you'll take it.
Yeah, as Ryan Langferman talked about in the pregame interview, good effort against Rushville last week, but those penalties, and once again, those penalties rearing their ugly head for the Indians. And, of course, Batesville's also been plagued by several at most ill-conceived times.
And one, of course, allowed for Milan to extend a drive when it was a 4th and 5.
First and 10, Batesville at the Milan 13-yard line. And handed off to Small. Small runs to the left side off left tackle, gets it inside the 10, and finally taken down at the 6-yard line.
So Small just continues to get his number called. What I've been surprised a little bit about, at least from a run game standpoint, I'm not a football coach, but you would think maybe there's something up a sleeve where you allow Trenton Jordan to come off that wide receiver line and take a handoff maybe after being in motion, just to switch things up a little bit and add a third runner to the mix. But you know what? If Small's going to get you yards, let him get his yards.
That's right. Ride him as long as you can. I formation behind quarterback Dylan Shane, who's under center, single wides on either side. Handed off to Small. Small runs the left side and gets it inside the 5, and finally got to be met by a host of white-shirted Milan defenders And it will be a first down, so it will be a 1st and goal for the Batesville Bulldogs inside the Milan 5-yard line. So once again, the steady diet of Zayden Small on this drive. So a 1st and goal for Batesville at the Milan 2-yard line, 5 minutes and counting in this 4th quarter. We're tied at 20 apiece, but Batesville knocking at the door.
If they can get in, this will be the shortest end zone spot to run in for a TD for Batesville. I don't think they got there, though.
Nope, Shane calls his own number, goes right up the middle. He got to the 1, and that was it.
Yeah, everything since last week against Triton Central has been a big play for a touchdown for Batesville. So something a little new for them to get the goal line offense out there.
That's right. Give it a little brotherly shove there. So he'll set up a 2nd and goal at the 1. Inside 4.5 minutes in regulation. Batesville and Milan tied at 20. Batesville knocking at the door. Shane walks up to the line of scrimmage and goes forward.
Someone jumped.
And that's going to come back. There's a penalty marker. That's going to be blown dead.
But because it was literally a scrum up the middle, I don't know who went off sides. Milan's clapping big time. It's going to go against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it is. It will be whistled against Batesville. So procedure penalty. He'll take the ball back to the 5-yard line. The nose resting at the 5. I call it 2nd and goal at the 5. Approaching the 4-minute mark in the 4th quarter.
I was going to say, meanwhile, at least, Batesville's probably thinking themselves, okay, 5-yard penalty, but, hey, the clock's rolling.
Yep, just what you want if you're Batesville. Shane under center. Backs line up in an I, single wide on either side. Pitch it out to Small. Small bounces to the inside, cuts it up to the left side, and into the end zone, touchdown, Batesville. Zayden Small with his 3rd touchdown run of the night. This one a 5-yarder as he went up the middle and cut it to the left, to the right side of the formation. Just danced around, just pinballed around out there, and finally puts Batesville on top 26-20 pending the extra point or possibly a 2-point conversion. It looks like Batesville will go with that 2-point try. Comes with 3:41 to go in regulation.
Now they're now going to go back to the middle of the field and let Wanell kick an extra point.
Yeah, a little redemption there for the previous extra point that was missed. And the snap, the kick is up, and it is right down Broadway. Extra point is good, and it is Batesville now with a 27-20 lead over the Milan Indians. 3:41 to go in regulation. We'll be back after this 30-second timeout on 103.9 FM, WRBI app, and WRBI-TV.
Hey football fans, while Ivy Tech Community College doesn't have a football team, what it does have is your play to a great future. Earn a short-term certificate to quickly get into a high-wage, high-demand career. Earn your associate degree in a wide variety of programs for a more affordable transfer to a bachelor's degree. Classes are offered in person and online at the Lawrenceburg and Batesville locations. For more information, email r11express@ivytech.edu.
Your free source for local sports, WRBI.
This game brought to you in part by Fleetwood Chevrolet, Margaret Mary Health, Great Plains Communications, and Moore Law Office. And Batesville retakes the lead on a Zayden Small 5-yard run, his 3rd touchdown run of the night. Brady Wanell adds the extra point. It is Batesville 27, Milan 20, 3:41 to go in regulation. That scoring drive brought to you by Assured Partners Insurance in Batesville. See Kevin Kreckler. So Bray Wanell getting ready to kick it off. The Indians were going from right to left as we're looking at things here on this next drive. They'll be driving toward downtown Batesville. Wanell advances on the ball, and it is going to be fielded just outside the 5 by Beckett Langferman. Langferman spin move and gets it to the 20, and that's going to be it as he's finally shoved backward by several blue-shirted Batesville special teamers. And that's where the Indians will start out 1st and 10, trailing 27-20 with 3:35 to go in regulation.
Well, there's just some real resiliency with this Batesville team in the second half, and the good thing is with that extended drive, that defense got its biggest breather of the second half so far. So can they come out a little bit more well-rested and put this game away? Now, if you're Milan's offense, you've got time. No need to panic yet or try and go for anything heroic here with still 3:35 on the clock.
Yeah, and plus a veteran offense here, so they've been through it. As Marsh under center and gives off the handoff on that misdirection. Once again, a huge gash across the 40, the 45 to the 50. It's now a foot race down inside the 40, the 35 inside the 30, and finally taken down shy of the 25-yard line. A huge run by Milan's Cam Miller. So a 1st and 10, Milan just like that. The Indians deep inside Batesville territory. They're going to mark it down at the 28-yard line.
And that is what an experienced offense can do. Last week it was Batesville's offense who was in unfamiliar territory trying to go for a comeback. Tonight it's Batesville's defense facing this, can we put the game away?
Hand it off, and running the left side is Brady Alcorn. He'll get it across the 25, and that is going to be it. As he was taken down by Bryson Hageman. Also, number 62, Colin Vogelsang on the Batesville defense. So 2:46 and counting. It'll be a second down. 2nd and 6, we'll call it, at the 25-yard line of the Batesville Bulldogs. And the Indians slowly walk up to the line of scrimmage. Under center is Wyatt Marsh. Marsh fakes the handoff under some pressures. He's going to be dropped around the 32-yard line. Cam Kaiser, also Caden Vogelsang with the sack, so they'll split that one.
Well, it's bad enough having Vogelsang hit you at the waist, but then you've got the big fella, Cam Kaiser, coming up to drill you to finish the job off.
That's going to be a 3rd and 13 after the sack.
And what I like about that is the fact that Batesville's defense didn't really celebrate. There was no theatrics from Kaiser or from Vogelsang. They lay the hit down. They're back to the huddle. They're ready to get back to work.
Yeah, just strictly business on that one. A very business-like approach. Alcorn and Norman split to the far side. Signal to the near side. Operating out of the shotgun is Marsh. Back to throw, looking, firing, dumping it over the middle, and is caught by Grant Langferman. Langferman gets away from one and finally down inside the 20 and going to be dropped at the 18-yard line. So that little dump off over the middle that we've seen Marsh go to every once in a while, he did there and got it to Grant Langferman, and he took it down inside the 20. And the ball just outside the 18-yard line of the Batesville Bulldogs.
Yeah, and Marsh is really lucky that he had just enough time to just dump it over because Kaiser was chugging along, ready to come get him again. Got to get the chains here set.
Twins on either side of the formation. Operating out of the shotgun is Marsh. Hands it off to Alcorn, and Alcorn gets it inside the 15. Or check it, Beckett Langferman. So Vogelsang in on the stop for Batesville. And they're going to mark it at the 14. So we'll pick up 2 on the play, will Beckett Langferman. Play clock down to 17 seconds. Twins on either side of the formation, operating out of the shotgun with Beckett Langferman on his left hip is Wyatt Marsh, and we've got a timeout taken by Batesville, and that'll be their first. It comes with 51.3 seconds remaining in regulation. Your score, Batesville 27, Milan 20, back after this 30-second on 103.9 FM, the WRBI app, and WRBI-TV.
In Ripley County, 1 in 7 children face food insecurity. That means weekends can feel long, empty, and uncertain. Through Turnover Hunger, the Batesville and Milan varsity football teams are working to change that. 1 turnover, 1 backpack, 1 child at a time. Join the Turnover Hunger effort to feed hungry children on weekends. Donate to the Ripley County Community Foundation, 13 East George Street, Suite B, Batesville, or online at rccfonline.org. Donate today.
The most and best high school sports is on WRBI.
51.3 seconds remaining in regulation, and it is Batesville clinging to a 7-point lead. However, the Milan Indians have it 2nd and 8 at the Batesville 14-yard line. Marsh operating out of the gun. Snap back to him under some pressure, rolls out to his right, chased down by Vogelsang. He rolls out to his right, tries to get it inside the numbers, and finally got to be taken down, an open field tackle there by Bryson Hageman. And Marsh is going to be close to the first down yardage. It looks like he's going to be shy a few yards.
Man, a lot of time being taken off. Milan's not calling a timeout yet. They've only got one left.
Matt Marsh back to throw, pitches out to the right side and dumped off. It looks like that is Grant Langferman, and Langferman well beyond the first down marker, and it's going to be a 1st and goal to go.
So it's going to stop the clock.
Yes, it'll be 1st and goal to go inside the 5, and we have a penalty marker on the field. However, as the referee and one of his colleagues discussed it across the way.
This may be coming back.
And Milan is retreating, it looks like. And no indication yet as the officials continue their discussion. Yeah, the Indians are walking backward. They're retreating. And it is a penalty against the Indians. Illegal man downfield is the penalty, and on top of, so a 5-yard penalty. So that's going to take the ball back. They got the 21-yard line. Yep, that's where they're going to mark it down with 19.2 seconds.
And again, to kind of set things up for you from a timeout standpoint, Milan's only got 1 timeout left. Batesville's still got 2 to play with. So if Batesville doesn't see something that they like, you can call a timeout and reconfigure, and that's what's going to happen.
Yep, so Evan Ulrey will do just that with Ryan Langferman will call his last timeout. That's going to come with 19.2 seconds remaining, and we're going to go ahead and keep it here. So again, set the stage. Batesville with a 27-20 lead. However, Milan threatening. They have a 3rd and 13 at the Batesville 20-yard line. And so stay tuned for the post-game show. We'll recap this one, the scoring drive. Also have a coach's interview for you. And take a look ahead to next week, and also run down some area scores for you as well. And, of course, if you don't hear the scores during our broadcast, be sure you check out our website later this evening, WRBIRadio.com. Of course, we'll also run down those scores in the Saturday morning sports. So both teams back on the field. So, again, Batesville with 2 timeouts. Milan is out of timeouts. And the Indians go right to the line of scrimmage. Wyatt Marsh operating out of the shotgun with Beckett Langferman on his right hip. Back to throw, under some pressure, looking, firing on the right side. It is off the hands of his intended receiver. That was Micah Norman right at the pylon, could not come up with it. So it's going to be a 4th and 13 on that incomplete pass.
So Milan has to convert, or else this ball game is over.
Exactly 14 ticks remaining on the clock, and it is stopped on the incomplete pass. So 4th and 13 Milan.
Batesville has been begging for a big defensive stop this entire second half. Can the Dogs finally get it, or can Milan flash that veteran offense again?
Indians driving toward the Batesville student section, and we have a timeout.
Batesville.
Yep. Batesville, so that will be their 2nd timeout. Now come with 14 seconds remaining. So Evan Ulrey still with 1 in his pocket, however 14 seconds remaining. But a chess match going on here at the Dog Pound.
It's been a fun one. You
Yes.
know, this will be a now 5th out of the last 6 that have been decided by 9 points or less. And these two teams have just been in an absolute battle tonight, you know, in many different ways. This really has not the entire way been this big battle of the trenches. It's been plays downfield. It's the offense making plays. Defensively, teams have been coming up with stops. This has been a fun rivalry showdown, just one of a couple that we have for you on WRBI tonight. And do want to pass along that at the conclusion of our ball game, we will be joining that East Central game in progress against Harrison. They are still in the third quarter.
Yeah, the 7:30 kickoff in St. Leon tonight, so we'll have bonus coverage for you. 4th and 13 Indians at the Batesville 20. Back to throw on the shotgun is Marsh. Now he's got to step up into the pocket, looking, firing on the left side into the end zone, and it is knocked away. Incomplete pass. He had a receiver down there and several blue-shirted Batesville defenders in the neighborhood, and they knock it down. Ethan Schneider came in at the last second, knocked it away, and Batesville is going to get out of here with the win.
Well, I'll tell you what. For Ethan Schneider, that's a huge play. He had made a couple big stops in coverage in the first half. He got burned by Micah Norman pretty well in the third quarter, but then able to come back in the end zone, knock that ball away. All Batesville has to do, take a knee.
Yeah, the best formation in football, the genuflect offense. Small under center. They snap it back to him. And that, as they say, is going to be that. Your final score, the Batesville Bulldogs 27, the Milan Indians 20. Batesville keeps the Ripley County bell. They've won the last 6 games and 8 out of the last 10 in the series. So Batesville, a 27-20 winner over the Milan Indians here tonight. And we're going to go ahead and take a 2-minute timeout. We'll be back with the post-game show after this 2-minute break. You're listening to High School Football on 103.9 FM, the WRBI app, and WRBI-TV.
Cool off with hot internet savings from Great Plains Communications. We know summers are blazing, but your internet bill doesn't have to be. Take advantage of our unbeatable prices on fast, reliable internet powered by our expanding fiber network. Whether you're streaming, gaming, or working from home, our local teams are here to bring you unmatched service and support because we live and work right here in your community. Lock in your hot internet savings today from your trusted provider, Great Plains Communications. Visit gpcom.com today.
We don't sell you cars, we help you buy them.
Fleetwood Chevrolet at 950 North Michigan Avenue in Greensburg invites you to visit them. They're here to help you with your next new or pre-owned vehicle purchase, as well as all your service and parts needs. They're the home of Greensburg's only drive-in service lane and free oil changes for life with the purchase of a new vehicle. Give them an opportunity to earn your business at Fleetwood Chevrolet.
We don't sell you cars, we help you buy them.
It's back. Our delicious chicken bruschetta pizza is back. Cecil here. I'm interrupting this commercial for some important news. Our operating hours are changing to better serve our customers and to better take care of our team members. We will be closing at 8 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. That's right, our new hours are Sunday through Thursday from 10:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., then Friday and Saturday 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Come let us serve you. LicenseFamilyPizza.com, 812-933-0333, or 117 East George Street, downtown Batesville.
Make some time to visit your local Napa store, Vaguely Napa Auto in downtown Batesville. This month, you'll find Toolbox brand shop towels, $2.69 a roll. Napa Full Synthetic Motor Oil, $5.39 a quart. WD-40, $7.49 for a 12-ounce can. Napa Diesel Exhaust Fluid, 2.5 gallons for $12.99. And Xerex Pre-Diluted Antifreeze starting at $13.99 a gallon. It's all at your local Napa store, Vaguely Napa Auto in downtown Batesville.
Southeastern Indiana's sports voice, WRBI.
Welcome back to the Dog Pound, along with Rob LaFerry and on-site engineer and scoreboard jammer and all the above, and keeping us on the straight and narrow, Annie Nunley, Tom Snape, and just witness a terrific Ripley County bell game per usual. This one no exception. Batesville holding on for a 27-20 win over the Milan Indians, so both teams are now 1-1 on the season. And the scoring rundown looks like this in the ball game. Batesville had the opening drive after Milan won the toss and deferred to the second half, and it was capped off by a Zayden Small 25-yard touchdown run. The 2-point conversion try failed, and the Bulldogs led 6-0. Then 7:19 to go in the second period. Set up by a fumble recovery by Cam Kaiser. It was Small with an 8-yard touchdown run, his second of the night. The 2-point conversion try was good, and Batesville led 14-0. The Milan got on the scoreboard with 3:56 to go in the half. Wyatt Marsh with a 24-yard touchdown pass to Micah Norman. Nick Voss added the extra point, and it was Batesville 14, Milan 7. And then with 2:21 to go before the end of the third quarter, Dylan Shane hooking up with Trenton Jordan with a 58-yard touchdown pass. The extra point try was no good, and Batesville had the 20-14 lead. But before that, we skipped a Milan score. There was 3:37 to go. After the Indians got the ball to begin the second half, he chewed up about 8.5, close to 9 minutes. And with 3:37 to go in the third, Beckett Langfordman with an 18-yard touchdown pass, or 18-yard touchdown run. And Voss added the extra point, and we were tied at 14 apiece. And then Batesville retook the lead at 2:21 to go in the third. Shane with the 56-yard pass to Jordan. Again, the extra point try failed, and it was 20-14. And then with 7:32 to go in the fourth period, Brady Alcorn with a 5-yard touchdown run. However, the extra point try was blocked, and we were tied at 20 apiece. And then with 3:41 to go in regulation, Zayden Small ripped off his third touchdown run of the night, a 5-yarder. Brady Wannell added the extra point, and that was ended up the scoring. The final score tonight, Batesville 27, the Milan Indians 20. Again, both teams go to 1-1 on the year.
Yeah, I mean, just what a ball game tonight. You know, you take a look at the second half and just the way that Milan was able to come in and take 8.5 minutes off on the opening drive and do their thing, as fatigued as the defense got because they had to be out on the field so long. And then for Batesville all of a sudden just to roar back and respond on a couple of occasions, for the defense to finally make a big stand late when they needed it most. Those are things that speak volumes to me. And I think, again, just going back to last week, you know, the defense and the offense from a week ago, I'm not sure if they could have done that job had this been a week one game. I think in a week one setting, Milan is probably a very heavy favorite, but you could tell that there was a lot of lessons learned from a week ago. Players looked a lot more comfortable. It does not mean by any means that this was a perfect night for Batesville, but just the resiliency speaks so loud to me about this crew, and it puts them in a really good position as we look ahead to next week when they're at South Dearborn. You've got Rushville right after that. I mean, this is now going to be a primetime opportunity for Batesville to go 3-1. On the Milan side, you saw what this veteran offense can do. There's a lot of things to take away about how good Wyatt Marsh is, about how good their run game is at Milan again, and with their various targets there on that wide receiver group with Langfordman and also with Micah Norman. But, you know, you come into moments for Milan, I think you look back at getting down 14-0. I think you look back at a couple of crucial penalties throughout the night. But I will also say this, Milan is going to have to watch film and learn very quickly, because you can't allow this to hurt you too much, because you've got North Decatur to prepare for on the road next week.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge one. Of course, sectional rivals, again, is you know, Milan getting North Decatur slayed their nemesis last year, and you know, Steve Stern's ball club had the better of them in the postseason the last several years. But that's one that we're going to definitely keep our eyes on next Friday night at North Decatur at Ed Kalin Field. And the Batesville Bulldogs, again, at South Dearborn, first time they go on the road. Again, is conference play, however, is outside you know, Batesville in the large school division and South Dearborn small school division. And we'll have that game on the WRBI app and WRBI-TV next week from high atop Wilmington Hill. But so just a huge gut check there, and you know, major growth and lessons learned tonight and last week as well for this Batesville Ball Club. But yeah, if you're Milan, I mean, the opportunities were there, but just had some miscues at most inopportune times.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, again, it's just really hard to put a finger on the biggest gut punch. Was it the 14-0? You may say no, that's not, because they were able to battle back and tie this thing up. But, I also look at, you had all these penalties in the first half. Does that prevent Batesville from even leading 14-0? Do a couple of those penalties prevent Batesville from doing what they did at the end of the ball game tonight? And I think at least for one night, for at least the players, it's a night of going back home and saying what if. The coaches, I think, will take this a lot more personally because they will be the ones going back on that film and seeing a lot of those situations and those what-ifs playing out again. But you can either sulk, you can allow this to eat you up, or you let it fuel you and you learn from it and focus on next week. I hope Milan takes the route of learning. I think as experienced as they are, that's the route they'll go, because if you allow this to eat you up, I'm sorry, but as high octane as North Decatur has now been 2 weeks in a row because they're leading big again tonight against a good Eastern Hancock team, things get really ugly in Decatur County next Friday night.
And speaking of which, do you have any score updates for us, Rob?
Absolutely. We can go ahead and run down a few tonight. We do have some games that are final away from our ball game tonight, which sees Batesville a winner 27-20 over Milan. Greenfield Central pulls away to beat Greensburg 34-21. Shelbyville a winner over Rushville tonight 45-20. And after a game that was 0-0 at halftime, South Dearborn defeats Madison 42-0. So the Knights going to be coming in 2-0 next week to take on Batesville. The Bulldogs will be 1-1. Other games still in progress. East Central trailing Harrison right now 20-14 early in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, it's all West Gilman and Franklin County, 62-28 over Connorsville. Fourth quarter, North Decatur leads Eastern Hancock 41-27. Last we had heard, final now for North Decatur Eastern. Thank you very much, Annie. Last we had heard, Shenandoah leading South Decatur 19-0 in the second. And nothing yet from Lawrenceburg and Taylor. But I know in Ohio tonight, the Tigers looking for redemption after falling to East Central last week.
Yeah, that's the thing about Lawrenceburg. They have that a big rivalry game with East Central
and
in county,
and
then rivalry game. But they have that rivalry game there with East Central in county, in Dearborn County, and then they get beat, and then they just go off on a 10-game winning streak. It seems like every year. It's amazing.
And I know we focus a lot on East Central Harrison because of our coverage area. But very quietly, I feel like Lawrenceburg and Taylor is always a fun week 2 games because there are times where if you're a follower of Ohio football, Taylor's been through the rungs, they've been up and down, but man, they always seem to bring out their best against Lawrenceburg.
Yeah, and the geography between the two, both schools located on US 50. Of course, Taylor was in North Bend. They moved a few miles to the east. They're now in Cleves, that new campus. So, and then of course Lawrenceburg, not too many far away. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to hear from the head coach of the winning Batesville Bulldogs, Evan Ulrey, once he takes a swig of water, and a well-deserved swig of water at that. And so with that, I'm going to turn the proceedings over to Rob LaFerry and the comments of Coach Evan Ulrey.
Coach's comments with Batesville head coach Evan Ulrey. Bulldogs a winner in the Ripley County Bell game tonight, 27-20. And Coach Tom and I have been breaking this one down. There's a lot of different directions we could go tonight because it was the up-and-down game that we expected. And you and I had talked Monday night. 4 of the last 5 have been decided by 9 points or less. Now make that 5 of 6. But if there's anything that we keep bringing up tonight for your ball club, it's this word, resiliency.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, you got to be battle-tested, and we talk about just having grit, and it's not just a physical part, it's more of a mental piece, and it's a mental mindset of, just trying to overcome, things, a lot of highs and lows, some of it, to be honest, not great play defensively, and guys know we're going to come in tomorrow and not great. I'll be honest, I think we took a couple steps back defensively, but guys, I think, just found a way. That last drive, they kind of ran out of time, and we found a way to, just get a stop. And I felt like defensively we were okay early on, but then I just felt like they found some stuff, and we just weren't being disciplined. I'll be honest, I think it was just discipline. We were running over stuff, not being tight on scrapes, and just missing tackles, and it's kind of sloppy. But offensively, I'll tell you what, really, really efficient tonight, and found out that you just get the ball to 22, a lot of good things happen, right?
Well, let's talk about the defense first, because a lot of the self-infliction, you go back to the third quarter when they rip off an 8.5-minute drive to begin the second half, and it seemed like just the more and more you guys were out there, whether it was self-inflicted or not, fatigue starts to settle in. But you're right, eventually by the end of the night, you bend, you don't break, and you make just one or two plays at the end. And I thought Schneid's play at the end was huge for you guys to break up that pass.
It was, and I thought, guys, just our back end, I thought for the most part played really well. And I thought, you talk about just being resilient. I mean, Schneid gives up, I shouldn't even say gives up, that, the Norman kid makes a heck of a play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a great ball by Wyatt Marsh, and Norman goes up and gets a deflected ball. I mean, it's kind of, you just tip your cap, and that's a heck of a play. Schneid's in the right spot. He's in the right spot most of the night, and he, we want him to be that guy, and Norman's a great receiver. I mean, he's a really good receiver. So that was definitely a tall task for him, and I thought he answered the call. But yeah, I think just in general, Gage Lancaster goes down, Andrew Reed comes in. I thought he stepped up. All of a sudden, it's a really young group, but you got guys. We have guys that are capable. It's just Eli Denny, we played a little bit last week, was out tonight, and you start and Andrew, and we've got guys that are capable. But it's just like they haven't had maybe as many reps. I mean, Andrew's coming off an injury too. That's why he didn't play last week. So, but no, I just overall happy with the back ends. I think for the most part we did solid. We just got to be a lot more sound, I think, in the box tonight. But yeah, because it was just like you said. I'm trying to think of what we gave up, a 4th and 4 on a penalty, and it's just little things where it's like, come on. And then just felt like after they got that first and they got a couple just other grind them out, it's kind of deflating, right? And we just got to do a little bit better at handling that and get off the field.
Now we can talk about offense. Zayden Small was awfully fun to watch tonight out of the backfield, but a nice compliment to those touchdown runs tonight and the job that he did. Dylan Shane looked a lot more comfortable at that quarterback spot, and a couple passes downfield to Trenton Jordan were very vital for you.
Yeah, no, and I think that was the emphasis, over the weekend and going into the week, was just a self-reflection of like, hey, we got guys that are capable of making plays. We just got to find ways to get them the ball. I think, more concerted effort, and that's. And we got to expect those guys and demand those guys to make plays, and they did. I mean, TJ runs a great slant. It's perfect timing. 1, 2, 3 ball gone, and he's gone, right? Rylan Yeager made some big plays early on. I mean, that's a good matchup. We felt like he had a good matchup out on the perimeter, and thought he made some catches, but Zayden is just he's electric. I mean, he simply, like we say, I mean, he can make something out of nothing, right? And and then when you are blocking well, I thought we blocked better up front this week. And when you do give him a little space, he's lightning. We've been hearing that since last year, right, Tom? So, and he definitely made some big time plays. But overall, very pleased with the offense. Very, very, very pleased. I thought we made a big step in the right direction, and that's what it's going to take. It's a team sport, and some units, like last week, I thought the defense played really well, and the offense kind of struggled. But this week, I think we had to lean a little more on the offense and the explosiveness, and we felt like, hey, if we have the ball last, I think we're going to be fine. It's just, please, let's not do like last year. We have to do it 2 minutes. So, I was pleased with the defense, though, to get that stop late.
Well, you keep the bell in Batesville for another year. You're now 1-1 on the season, first win of 2025. But now back to the drawing board and just continue to learn those lessons early on the season. You're on the road for the first time next week against the South Dearborn team that obviously has a couple studs defensively, and it's a group that proved tonight that they can score in bunches. They scored 42 unanswered against Madison in the second half. Your thoughts about what's to come next Friday?
Well, I mean, Rand he's a high-energy guy and demands a lot from his guys, and we know that they probably have had us circled, and that's kind of what the message I even told the guys after the game. I said, everybody outside of maybe East Central has probably us circled, right? East Central's just, they're circling Lucas Hoyle. So But, you know, I say that is that that's what happens when you bring a bullseye. And some of our guys, and I told him, I said, you know, and we've been saying this all year, is like, you guys didn't create the bullseye, but you're the ones that is the bullseye because of what's happened the last couple of years. And so you got to understand that, you know, we got to expect that you're going to have to grow up and continue to grow up at a very fast rate and demand, you know, when we demand a lot, we're expecting that because you're going to get everybody's best. You can't, you know, think that, you know, people are just going to roll in and beat Batesville. No, they know they're going to have to play well, one, and two, they're probably pretty upset if they got knocked out by them in the tournament here in the last couple of years, or they've got beat. And South Dearborn, I can guarantee you that they've had us circled and pegged, and they want to beat us, and they got us down in our place, and we're going to have to go down there and play well. It's never an easy place to win down there. So, but again, we got to just, you know, continue to focus on us in the process of getting better each day. You know, we got a little funky week this week with school, but we got to, you know, again, be resilient and not let it be a distraction. So, and just get better each day. Tomorrow we'll get back at it and move on, right? We'll learn from tonight. It feels a little better to get a win, right? But, yeah, just got to continue to stick to the process and be better as we get into September. And that's what I told the guys. I said, I'm proud of you, not just that we won, because it would suck to lose this game. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But I'm proud of the growth from week 1 to week 2.
All right, Coach, we'll go ahead and let you go for tonight. No Coach's Corner because of the holiday, so we will see you on Friday night in Aurora.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Batesville head coach Evan Ulrey joining us for Coach's comments, and we will wrap up for tonight, Tom Snape.
Very good. Thank you very much, Rob LaFerry. And some other final scores we just passed along. The aforementioned Lawrenceburg-Taylor. It was Lawrenceburg opening up a can of it on the Yellow Jackets tonight. The Tigers 41, Taylor 13. Another final for you, Shenandoah comes into Westport and beats South Decatur 39-0. So, again, be sure to check WRBIRadio.com for all the scores from around the area tonight. And, of course, we'll also run down those scores for you as well in our sports tomorrow. So, again, what's up for these two ball clubs tonight? Milan journeys to North Decatur. We're going to have our eyes pinned on that one. Of course, Batesville, as Rob and Coach mentioned, at South Dearborn next week. That'll be on WRBI app and WRBI-TV. Again, our final score tonight, Batesville 27, Milan 20. We'd like to thank, of course, Coach Evan Ulrey of the Batesville Bulldogs for his time in the pregame and postgame as well. Also, Coach Ryan Langferman of the Milan Indians for his time in the pregame show. And a huge thank you to our sponsors of high school football tonight. And those folks are Whitewater Motors, Hurt and Elko, the Ripley County Community Foundation, Batesville Dental, Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Doug Sherwood, Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep, Decatur County Memorial Hospital, Bruns Gutzwiller, Ivy Tech Community College, Gehrings, Vaguely Napa Auto, also Ison's Family Pizza, Fleetwood Chevrolet, Margaret Mary Health, Great Plains Communications, Moore Law Office, and Assured Partners Insurance. Stay tuned. We've got bonus coverage of the I-74 border war over in St. Leon between East Central and Harrison. Again, our final score tonight, the Batesville Bulldogs 27, the Milan Indians 20. So for our man next to us, Rob LaFerry, also our on-site engineer, Annie Nunley, and for everybody at WRBI Sports, thank you for joining us and have a great Labor Day weekend.
Catch the replay of tonight's broadcast on demand, free of charge, anytime. Find it on our YouTube page, our Facebook page, and at WRBI-TV.com. From Southeastern Indiana's sports voice,